Welcome to Missing the Point, a show about sports by sports fans, put on and produced by a sports fan, thought about and conceived and conceptualized by sports fans, bled into, sweat into about sports fans. And today we're going to be talking politics. Just kidding. Obviously, we're talking about basketball. What else would we be doing here? Bobby and I have come back from our morning period of not having the power ranking show, have anything to talk about in the NFL anymore, and we're ready to lock and load for what I consider the greatest period of the basketball season, and that is the post All-Star break into the playoff run. Other than obviously when your teams do well in the playoffs, I think the regular season, correct me if I'm wrong in basketball, really starts to mean something to me. Not that it doesn't already, but once you get past the All-Star break, everybody seems to know where they stand. You know what teams are good and what teams are bad. Ray, when you and I did a full NBA kind of retrospective in December, you know, when you're looking at the NBA in early December, late November, you're kind of going, I don't know, this team might be good, this team might be bad, this team might be good, this team might be bad. Now we have our official good teams, our official bad teams, our official fun to watch teams, and absolutely fucking turgid to watch teams.
To give us credit though, we were spot on,
pretty spot on, except for about the Cavs. We were wrong about the Cavs. We were 100% sure they were going to fall off.
We thought it may fall off, but yeah.
But here they are still sticking around. But, you know, this is going to be a Celtics-centric show, but I do want to sort of put into context as we start to talk more and more about the Boston Celtics moving forward on the show. I want to put into context and the landscape of where we are in the NBA. The teams that we are or should or shouldn't be scared of is sort of the first topic I want to address. And I want to lead it off with the idea that we couple of weeks ago barely lost to the Milwaukee Bucks when we had what looked like a team of
it was us out there. It was
cars down the road, you know, as opposed to an actual fully fit Celtics team. I saw, you believe it or not, I know you can find any stupid shit on the internet, and Ray, I'll start with you. I saw a lot of, you should be scared of the Bucks. Look, they just beat you in the regular season. Like, you're not getting past this team in the playoffs once they get this Middleton thing figured out. First of all, what is going on with the Middleton thing? Secondly, we had no players out there and we almost beat them. So I'm less scared of them now than I was going into a playoff series that we won last year. So am I crazy to think that, or are they still our main rivals? What's going on here?
No, I mean, there's still going to be a tough out. Like, I don't want to make it seem like it's a foregone conclusion, because nothing with the Celtics team is a foregone conclusion.
Of course.
We've learned everything about them in the last few seasons. So, yeah, I mean, if anything, Milwaukee should have came out of there being discouraged. Honestly, like the fact that people saying, "Oh, like we didn't have Portis, we didn't have."
They should have beat our asses.
And it's like, yeah, like y'all should have won by 20 at least. Well, maybe not 20, but at least by double digits, you should have won by. But
OT, it took OT.
Yeah, you know, shout out to Sam Hauser for hitting that big shot. But yeah,
that was so
it was a thing of beauty. But I feel like they're not being honest about the Middleton injury. Like, I think that he's been on a very strict minute restriction, apparently. So that's what they reported on TNT before going into the break. But yeah, I think that he's not all the way there. Who knows?
It's weird, right? If it was you, if it was one of yours, you'd be freaked out, right? I feel like it's a weird thing.
Look at Rob. Like, Rob played that night. Didn't play against Detroit, so it was kind of like, okay, so
his minutes are weird as fuck. I can't explain them.
Why would you not play him more?
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted everyone against Milwaukee, and if you wanted to rest against Detroit,
sure.
I'm fine. But I get it. Maybe you didn't want to show your whole hand. You do have another game out there. I think March 30th is their final game.
Mm-hmm.
I guess Milwaukee out there at I'm showing my age when I say Bradley Center, but it's called the Fiserv Forum now, whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I just think that they it's still Milwaukee. Once again, we could talk about some other teams that may have a shot, but Milwaukee's still very much at the top of my list of teams that I have my eye on and have somewhat concern about.
Bobby, are you more or less scared of them than you were this time last year or playoff time last year?
I think it's about equal. I think we know exactly what that series is going to be again. It's going to be another dogfight where Giannis is going to stress us the fuck out for 7 games. Regardless of Middleton, regardless of all of it.
We're better though.
It's
No,
we definitely are better, I think. So I was going to speak on. I feel like that's what Joe. I almost feel like it was kind of mind games ish, where he was trying to prove that, where like we are a better team as currently constituted than we were last year when we played them, and I'll prove it internally in the locker room to you guys that we are better by Tatum sitting, by all these guys sitting, and we're still going to be able to take them to overtime. Yeah, no, that game was amazing. I watched that game expecting, like Ray said, 10 to 15 points.
I mean the starting lineup was absurd.
Derrick White was unbelievable in that game, unreal. And
I mean, great transition to talk about D White, to be honest with you, because I feel quite honestly, and I know I have a penchant for hyperbole, I do, but I really feel like Derrick White's progression over the last, what would you call it, two months, maybe, the level that he's reached, the consistency that he's bringing to the floor on a nightly basis. Now, Ray, again, all the credit in the world for you saying the kind of player that he was going to be able to be. I tip my hat to you, sir. And every single time he drops a lovely floater, I think of you. And I think we should always do that. But you know what? That's not the only thing his game has brought to the table over the last couple of months. Like, his shot is dialed in. I think collectively as a shooting team, we're absolutely out of this world, which makes me a little bit nervous. You live by the 3, you die by the 3 type of thing. But I do think our consistency is something to be lauded. Derrick White brings something to the table in the guard position that we have really not had over the last few years. And I think to be able to field a team, like Bobby's saying, to be able to field a team of, Grant Williams, Derrick White, Sam Hauser, a few Luke Cornett, Blake Griffin starting, to have a situation like that and to have a guy like Derrick White step up, I think it speaks to the locker room culture. It speaks to how trusted everybody is top to bottom on that roster and the kind of mentality that I think they've been trying to instill in the locker room. I do want to talk about Joe Mazzulla being like the 19th official head coach now, but with guys like Derrick White coming to the fore and making these impacts, what do you think is different about this season compared to seasons gone by where we couldn't really seem to get our role players going to that degree? I mean, it might be insulting to even call Derrick White a role player at this point, but we couldn't seem to get our bench going to that degree in the past. We always had to rely. If it wasn't going to be Tatum and Brown, there's no way we're winning a big game against the Milwaukee Bucks or someone of their ilk. So what do you think has changed culture-wise? Do you think it's just that the best players are better? Do you think Joe Mazzulla's had an impact on it, or do you think all of the above? Or we just have better role players, maybe?
Yeah. So I just think it's exactly what you just said last. We have better role players, and there's nothing more powerful than a guy playing in the slot in the minutes that he's supposed to be playing. There's nothing that's sunk a Celtics team in the past than guys playing above what their role is and playing roles that they're not supposed to be playing. We've talked about it so many times, the Tremont Waters playoff experience. You know what I mean? Like that's such a thing of the past at this point. And I feel like that's what Derrick White has thrived off of this year is like now with the Brogdon addition, right? And with Smart, Derrick White is free to be Derrick White. Last year he got put in situations where sometimes he's relied on the ball too much. He's relied
Marcus
on
Smart getting injured has been the best thing to happen to Derrick White, maybe.
Yeah, it's been awesome to see him thrive in the role that he's been in, man. And it's good to know that, he can run that second team because that's what he's been doing. You know what I mean? And he can even run the first team if you need him to. He's been playing awesome off the ball with Tatum. The Derrick White, Jayson Tatum pick and roll has been deadly in the past few weeks. So it's been awesome to see, man. But that to me is what it's been, is the role players fitting in where they belong. You know what I mean? You have guys like Sam Hauser who, once he gets those 10 to 15 minutes is hitting those shots. You have guys like Blake Griffin who's come in and just been a godsend for Al's knees and Al's legs, playing those 3 to 4 every 3 to 4 nights, 19 minutes a game. It's just been awesome to see the role players filling the roles perfectly that they're supposed to be filling.
There's got to be something though, Ray, right? Like there's got to be something in the system and something in the water over there that's making it so that Blake Griffin is playing the best basketball of the last 7 years. Guys like Moose coming in and having a bigger impact in a bigger market on a better team than he had where he came from. Guys like Derrick White finding their feet and hitting their ceiling, the kind of ceiling you purported him to have, but where he wasn't hitting in other places like in Texas. You know what I mean? So what is it that is it cultural? Is it coaching? Is it system based? Or is it the fact that they're looking at two guys that are the best players in their team and saying, oh, those guys are giving us the opportunity to win? What is it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a mix of everything, man. Like I think guys are comfortable. Guys are comfortable in their roles.
Yeah, well said.
And they're bought into their roles. Like, so if you're thinking, okay, if I do my part, we have a chance to win. So whether that's Tatum, Brown, White, Brogdon, Rob, Al, whoever, right? So you go from 1 down to 15. Like, if I do my part in my 3 to 5 minutes, if I set this pick, if I set this, if I hedge this screen, if I make this right pass at this angle, right? So all the little nuances that they may have missed last year or in years past, like it's all coming together at one time. And I want to share something that I heard from Kenny Smith a while ago, that talked about when because obviously he was a role player, won back-to-back championships in Houston. And he said everybody in the NBA has been a star at some point in their lives. So whether it's high school, whether it's college, maybe playing on a bad team. And that's what we're seeing with Malcolm Brogdon. We're seeing it with Derrick White. Like obviously Malcolm Brogdon was a star at UVA. Derrick White was a star at Colorado, under Tad Boyle, because Eddie House talks about all the time over there, right? So coming from good coaching, then you playing with Pop, right? So he's taking all the things that he learned from other places, then bringing it here. And because like I said, this team is locked in on winning, not just making the first round, not just making the second round. Like they got that taste that Marcus Smart talked about. They got the taste, and now they want that experience time and time again. Once again, I just don't want to become the Buffalo Bills where we make it to 4 straight and not get there. So that's my only thing. But yeah, I just think that guys have become stars in their role, and because of them being stars in their role, it's resulted in this amount of success.
I do want to give a little bit of credit, or even a lot of credit to Joe Mazzulla, though. I think that the circumstances we were put in, I think that we were all a little reticent to say it out loud because we didn't want to sort of speak it into reality. But when the Ime Udoka stuff happened at the worst possible time in the offseason, right before we were about to get things going, the way that the organization is structured and the way that the kind of the news was sort of drip fed out to us, we didn't really have any idea then how it was affecting the players, what the players' reactions were, how they were viewing the situation, how Joe Mazzulla was viewed or respected or not in the locker room. And I think what we see now is that maybe the Celtics of 2 years ago, if that had happened with Ime, they might have looked at it as an excuse to quit. Maybe the Celtics of 3 to 5 years ago, if something like that had happened, they would have been too young, too inexperienced to have continue with the culture of winning that they had just established with Ime.
Yeah.
I think that this team, Tatum and Brown, they are still young. I don't think that's going to be an excuse anymore going forward. I think that they have the experience now in the postseason where it's like, well, whatever your age in years is, they're both 50 in basketball years at this point. So, and I don't mean that in a body toll way. I mean that in an experience way, in a good way. And I think what they have sort of been saying over the more relaxed All-Star break, and we can talk a little bit about how fucking awful of an All-Star weekend that was if you want, but what they kind of came out with is this idea of they got stronger as a unit when that happened. Like that happened to them collectively. And they're not coming out and saying this sort of exactly because it's a difficult thing to navigate. It's a difficult thing to say out loud. Like, yeah, sorry for whatever happened to those women. But we actually all really liked Ime Udoka, and we're kind of bummed out that he's not here. And it did suck when that happened. I think is kind of what they're trying to say without saying it, because you can get a little into murky waters with like the subject matter. But And, you know, we all understand that. I mean, it's 2023. You got to be careful what you say. It gets misconstrued. It gets put on the internet. 10 million people have a reaction to it. And then all of a sudden, what you said doesn't matter anymore. And what it was taken as matters, right? So they've done a good job, I think, in media management, but also they've kind of told us, the people that have been paying attention, and Bob, I'll go to you on this, their championship DNA, for want of a better term, is something they're trying to. It's something that I think what they're saying is, Jaylen and Jayson are saying this is obviously our team, plus Marcus and a couple other core guys, but there's a trust, right? And like what Ray is saying is there's a trust in this locker room, whether you're Sam Hauser or you're Jayson Tatum, whether you're Peyton Pritchard or you're Jaylen Brown, everyone's almost got the green light a little bit, you know, depending on the situation that they're in. Now, for me, if you had told me that was going to be the approach, I would have popped a fucking gasket, to be quite honest with you, because there's guys I just don't fucking trust on this team. Right. And I think that's true of every basketball team I've ever watched. You know, you look at the end of the bench, shit happens. But I think that Muscala, Tatum, Brown, the leadership, Brad to a certain extent, and how he sort of controlled the narrative, they really righted the ship with everything that happened at the start of the season. And now I think we're looking at a team of very close players. Like, I think they're all very close with one another. And I think that kind of moved away the controversy and brought us into where we are now. So my question for you, Bob, is, now that we have a team where that's established, are you worried about seeing the same idiosyncrasies on the court that we saw in years prior? Blowing leads, complaining to referees when you should just be fucking carrying on, this, that, and the other. Are you worried at this point that that's going to seep back into their game? Because I haven't really seen it for a while. So, I mean, come playoffs, the pressure goes up, and they don't have any excuses anymore at this point. But how do you see them navigating that going forward?
I don't think it's going to be an issue at all. I think, like you said, you got to give all the credit to Joe, man. I think it's telling. You know, we just mentioned this in the interview we just did. It's so telling that, you know, Tatum came out this weekend, specifically said that Udoka was his favorite coach he's ever played for.
I don't think he said that as a slight to Joe Mazzulla, though.
No, not at all. He actually had a connection with Udoka, and that ran deep when it came to Tatum. You could tell, you know, it elevated Tatum's game to a different level now, and I just think that now Tatum is at that level. You know, whatever Udoka did, you know, when it comes to the things that we don't know, that's one thing. But the one thing he absolutely did was turn Tatum into a bona fide superstar, and that's something that's non-negotiable at this point, because he's who came in and showed Tatum the light, showed him, listen, you can't be complaining to these refs. You could be the best two-way player in the history of basketball if you do things right. And Tatum took that to heart. So I really don't ever.
I mean, he's now top 2 scoring forward in the NBA,
without a doubt.
Now, you know,
and he's a top 5,
top 6, top 5 potentially player in the NBA.
Yeah, without a doubt, man.
He always looked like he could maybe get there, but I do agree with you that I think we have to credit Joe a little bit. Like, he's matured. He's been in these situations. You can't take away from his personal journey and like the man he's become. He's a dad. He's a great player. He's a leader on the team. But I do think Joe, he added that last little piece to Tatum's game where it's like, you're the big boy now. Like, you have to be. It's like, you can't be, you're the main guy. Like, you have to be the main guy. And on that note, I wonder, let me ask you this, Ray, because this is a question you've brought up in the past. That interim title, it's gone now. I feel like they timed it perfectly. I really do. I feel like it was really smart how they waited, because I probably would have taken it off from 2 months ago. I think you might have taken it off from 3 months ago, but I think they've timed it pretty well. Correct me if I'm wrong. And what do you think it means for us going forward?
Yeah, I think that it matters that it matters that they put that trust in him. And I think just human nature, you start to wonder, like, okay, like, do they believe in me? Do they believe in what we're building here? And obviously he was an assistant under Brad, so Brad knows his mannerisms, he knows his work ethic, and it is spilled over to what's going on with this team currently. And, you know, he's instilled confidence. He's instilled, you know, great out of timeout plays. But once again, it makes sense because Brad was phenomenal.
You know, I feel like we've been really lucky with coaches able to draw plays out of timeouts. I feel like I always really like Doc's plays that he ran. I know certain people have criticisms of the kind of plays that Doc Rivers ran, but I always really liked him coming out of timeouts. I always loved Brad Stevens coming out of timeouts. I always loved Ime Udoka coming out of timeouts, and I love Joe Mazzulla coming out of timeouts. I feel like we've been really good at that. Honestly,
even well, just to that Doc point, like I just first thing that came to my mind. I remember a game against Miami.
You're gonna say the layup, right? The Rondo layup.
The Rondo alley-oop.
Unbelievable.
But the fact that he can still go back to that.
Oh yeah,
lets us know that it was a phenomenal play that was drew up. Like 0.5 seconds.
You should have dunked it, but yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to get over.
I know.
I got it.
Easier said than done. Having never flown above the fucking.
Was it 0.4 seconds, right? It was 0.4 seconds.
Yeah,
right?
0.4 was like it was a great play. So, but yeah, like I said, but like you said, you're absolutely right, Dave. Like we have been very lucky, blessed, and privileged to have coaches that are not panicking in those moments. I think it's very easy to kind of drop something, and the player will look at that like, man, I'm not doing that. Like, we're going to do something else. So the fact that they trust what was being done there, once again, my only area of concern or growth for him is just making sure that you know when to call those timeouts. Once again,
he does leave it. He leaves it a little bit.
Yeah, he leaves it. So it's just like, know when guys need rest as opposed to like, okay, figure it out. Teams should not be going on 15-2 runs.
Recognize chaos over letting them play.
That's all.
That's yeah.
I would say that though. I do agree with you. Like, there's times I'm screaming at the TV to call a timeout, and I'm actually never really that mad watching the Celtics these days, to be honest with you, especially the way that they put teams that they should be putting away, like the Detroits of the world. Like, I thought was a great example the other night of going in and beating a team the way you're supposed to beat a team like that. There's moments. Yeah, it's a game of runs. We accept all this stuff, but I do agree with you that I get pissed when he lets teams get back into us, because there's obviously some tired legs. There's this and the other. However, that's a better system in the playoffs. That I think is something that when you're playing a playoff game, you do need to let them scrap a little bit more. I think you got to manage their minutes, and you got to manage them on the court in the regular season for sure. And you still have to do it in the playoffs. I'm not saying you don't do it, but you do got to let them fight their way out of some shit a little bit more when the going gets tough in the playoffs, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure. And I completely agree on the timing of this whole thing too, because when it comes to this last 6-week stretch, I feel like it would have been a mistake to have the future of their coach or the future of the guy leading them riding on the playoff success. I don't think you need to put more over the head of this team, because they already have the pressure of being the hunted in the East. You know what I mean? Like, they are the hunted of the NBA right now. So putting that on top of this whole thing, I feel like would have been kind of a mistake.
East, though. Let's talk about the East for a second.
Which is where we started. So
who's fucking hunting us exactly in the East?
It's Milwaukee. That's it.
It's Milwaukee, and that's it. Brooklyn was the best team I've ever seen get blown up. To be totally honest with you, like, just on record, completely happy to talk about whatever the fuck happened down there, but.
The Knicks, I got to say about them too in a minute.
Yeah, great. The Knicks aren't doing shit. The Sixers, we've been their daddy for fucking, I don't know, 100 years.
Forever.
The Bucks, maybe, and that's a big maybe. Miami,
it's
Miami
really
Miami got worse somehow. They're fucking out of the picture. I can maybe, if somebody made an argument to me that Cleveland seems to have had our number in the regular season, but I just will not fucking accept the idea of the Cleveland Cavaliers coming to beat the Boston Celtics in the fucking postseason. I just don't see it.
That series will go 6 because of their size.
They could beat us down low. Yeah, they're gonna. We're gonna have.
We're figuring them out across 7 games. We have better players.
They would get 2 because of their size.
We're gonna have 2. We're gonna have at least 2 podcasts. We play the Cavs. How angry we are about rebounds. I guarantee you that we're gonna be sitting here.
I'm already mad.
Rebounds.
Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, like, those are some big boys. So I get it. But
Brooklyn are so fucking stupid.
Right.
I can't believe that. It's so crazy.
But no, as far as the Brooklyn Nets thing go, right? So obviously, getting back Mikal Bridges, who just had his career high at 45, right before the break, getting Cam Johnson and then some other guys that got back, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Would have got back.
I mean, they're almost in a position to just quietly go about their business now, which they haven't been in the last few years.
Right. So
where they had success in the past, to be fair.
Yeah, for sure. But what I think, and you may know where I'm going with this, but I remember when, the Knicks traded, not the Knicks, the Nuggets traded Melo to New York, and they got all those guys back, and people was like, "What's going on? Why would you, these guys don't equate to Melo?" Those guys won 57 games.
Yeah, the Ty Lawson squad, right?
57 games the next season. So that's very possible. Jacques Vaughn has done really well over there in that role. So yeah, they're gonna be a tough out. Once again, they're not gonna win any series. They may take a team 6 or 7, but that team is not gonna fade off into the win just because Kyrie and KD are gone. Defensively, they got better immediately. And then dare I say, offensively, they may be okay too because they're gonna have to shut a ball. So
yeah, I guess I guess it's just it's the Ben Simmons factor for me. I think that any team
he's irrelevant.
but he's not though. Like he isn't. I mean, I think that he's going to be the first thing that anyone talks about when he's on a team that comes to their town. Everyone's going to use him as a post to whip the fucking team that he's playing on. They're going to be like, yeah, but look at how much money you guys are paying Ben Simmons. I saw a tweet the other day that was like, it was like a scout preview of Ben Simmons like coming into the league, and it was like has issues with character, like doesn't seem to want to listen to coaching, like that kind of stuff. It's like, oh, we fucking knew. I mean, it didn't say has a non-existent jump shot, and not in a way that you would normally think non-existent. He literally will not take a jump shot ever. Okay. Like that's not exactly what it said, but
never seen anything like him.
I whatever about Ben Simmons. Here's the crazy part, right? I think what Ray's point is true. KD and Kyrie, what they did there and what their demands and the kind of personnel that they switched around and the kind of things they made them do, they should be worse than they are right now. They should be worse off, quite frankly. The fact that they were able to trade Kevin Durant, which is fucking unheard of, to trade a player like that. You can't put a package together like Shaquille O'Neal, right? Last guy I can think of that actually got traded, that of a superstar on that level, a trade, not like, oh, he went away and he re-signed with another team, like a full-blown trade. That saved their franchise, that they got something back for him. At least they recognize that, right? Because like that was going in the, okay, fine. They'd only lost like whatever, 25 games or whatever. That was going in the wrong direction. Like that was very clearly going in the wrong direction, no matter what you did. And now all of a sudden, Phoenix are favorites coming out of the West. The Nuggets are scary coming out of the West. Phoenix are scary coming out of the West. There's teams out there that I'm legitimately not looking forward to seeing in the finals if and when we make it. So the East, okay, but I watched us beat Milwaukee already. I watched Milwaukee barely be able to beat us with our fucking with the team at the Hertz rent-a-car down the street coming to play for us instead of our actual basketball team. The 76ers, like we said, I think that they pay us to smack them at this point. Like, I think that we absolutely fucking own them. I think it's bad. I think Joel Embiid, I think he's one of the most talented big men I've ever seen play the game, but I think that there's obvious issues with the teams around him and the amount of minutes you can put in his legs and rely on him to produce at that level. And with the kind of game that he has, I'm not scared of anybody in the East, guys. I'm just not. Like, there's going to be annoying
John Clark.
I mean, good reference. Good reference. But like, fuck him too. Because like, come on.
We find it easier. That's the quote.
What are you saying?
You heard it here first. I love it.
I couldn't believe that shit that he was coming out with too. I'm like, what are you saying?
No, he wants us though. I'm happy about that. He wants us.
As soon as that all went down,
Boston are the only threat in the fucking East, which is a factual fucking statement. But like, come on, Jae, you're not there yet, dude. Like, get out of
here. They haven't won anything yet. That's what is funny about Memphis. But yeah,
I think they're good. I think they're fun to watch.
They're very fun to watch.
I think Orlando are fun to watch.
They're the most hated. Orlando's so fun to watch. They're the most hated team in the NBA right now, Memphis.
I kind of like it. I like that he's full on turned heel and he's kind of doing it on purpose. Like you can actually kind of tell he's doing it on purpose. But I also like that the shit that he talks is like, did you see the Cranbrook private school mashup video thing?
Yeah, that was so good.
My fucking God, that was so funny, dude. So it's like, first of all, I understand that, like,
Way to know your audience, by the way.
No, I get it. You want to puff your chest out, like you want to be fucking hardcore, like all good. You're trying to play a game, you're trying to win a game, whatever. You're gonna go as Shannon Sharp. I swear to God, I was bent on Shannon Sharp whooping that whole team if that fight went down. I was like, Shannon Sharp's gonna beat the shit out of the entire Memphis Grizzlies right now. Like that's actually what's about to fucking happen.
Until Steven Adams walked up.
Yeah, all right, maybe, but Shannon Sharp did not go to a private school.
He might have given him a 2-piece too.
Dude, Shannon Sharp's about that life, bro. Shannon Sharp actually came from the place that John Morant is trying to pretend that he came from. Shannon Sharp will fuck somebody up. That is a fact. And like, you know how you can tell? You can honestly tell. I know we're on a little bit of a tangent here. We'll get back to the Celtics in a second.
I love it. This is great.
You know how you can honestly tell? Is because Shannon Sharp was like, oh, they almost fucked up so bad. Like he wasn't like,
he wanted it.
Let me at him, bro. He was like, oh, they almost made the biggest mistake of their fucking lives. Like I was like, oh, I can tell how he's talking about it.
Problems. That was his word. They don't want these problems. I'm like, that's crazy.
Honestly, someone should tell Skip Bayless.
He's one of those. I wish you would. I wish you would. I wish you would.
Yeah, that's oof. That's tough.
Shannon Sharp's a man who like worked his ass off in order to like get his mom out of the place that they grew up in. That's not a man that you trifle with. That's someone who would like, he did not fuck around when he
also has one of the best sound bites in NFL history. So he's got someone call the National Guard because I am killing the Patriots.
I also think Skip
top level.
Skip Bayless needs to be very careful because he said he talks shit for a living, and one day Shannon Sharp is just gonna come snatch his fucking soul out of his body across that desk. I swear to God. It's just gonna be like breaking.
I'd be
Skip
here.
Bayless dead, age 60, whatever.
I'd be here for it.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus, that guy just says shit to say shit too. I feel like Shannon Sharp's actually trying to make a fucking point.
I hate that he's a Cowboys fan. It fucking drives me nuts.
Why? He's just like every other fucking.
Yeah, exactly.
He's the worst. He's the worst, bro.
Thank you.
I mean, I like you a lot, man. And like you are an exception to a very well-established rule. Like, I'm sorry. You bring a lot of Boston sports fan energy into your Dallas Cowboys fan watching, but have you met any other Cowboys fans? Just out of curiosity, because that's what it is. No, it's all good.
Next year, bro. Next fucking year.
Just wait, dude.
Sorry,
and then they start listing their roster.
We're finding the East. We're finding the East. Sorry.
Okay. I'm not worried about the East. I'm not worried about the East at all. I really genuinely believe that we could beat Milwaukee or will beat Milwaukee in 6 to 7 games. I think it'll be a slog, like you said. I think we would fucking destroy Philly. I think the time of that even being a contest is over. I think our two best players were toddlers whooping their fucking ass. I'm not worried about that at all. Miami kind of had our number in the past, but they got worse, or they didn't get any better, I think is a more accurate description.
Yeah, they're too old and slow.
They didn't do what they needed to do to make the pieces that they had work, and they have a good coach still and stuff. And if we saw them in the playoffs, maybe like a 1-8 scenario, maybe they win a play-in or whatever, and we see them, yeah, it's going to be annoying. Like it always is playing Miami. They're going to play that zone, like whatever. But when we get to the finals, there's like fucking 4 teams I'm scared of. So that's the thing that I'm fucking worried about. And I'll tell you something. That Denver Nuggets team, Ray, you tried to talk me off the fucking wall with this last time. You don't seem worried. They are so scary to me, man. I think they match up against us so well. Like you're talking about fucking size. Like they got a ballerina who's like 9 feet tall in there. It's fucking terrifying. He's twinkle toes, but he's a monster. I don't get it. I don't understand how his body works. I don't understand how he can pass like that. It's bananas. I'm very scared. And I also like them is the thing. You know me. You know I like big men. You know I like the post game, the down low play. Mm-hmm. Watching Jokic play is magnificent for me. And obviously I always love the Celtics, but I am genuinely scared to play that team. Should I be or should I not?
No, because I feel like, and like you said about them, they're too slow.
Yeah.
And
okay.
they traded someone who the X factor is, and
Bones
Highland. They traded him.
Okay, I feel better now. I feel better.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like, is he going to give us? Is he going to give us crazy work in the word of Shady McCoy? Absolutely. He's going to give us whatever he wants. So that's fine. 40 alone is not going to be. Once again, if you shut down everyone else, because once again, Jamal Murray's not getting 40 on Marcus Smart as good as he is. Michael Porter Jr., as good as he is a Walmart version of Jayson Tatum. So it's just like, what are we?
That's pretty accurate.
We're good. We're good.
Okay, so the team you're scared of coming out of the West is who? The Clippers?
No, just Phoenix. If they
just
get
Phoenix. Just the hypothetical that is the Phoenix Suns right now.
But I mean, if they click, once again, that team has been there. So and Katie's coming, he's been there too. So
okay, well, let me say one thing. And like, here's the thing: if it's not going to be the Celtics, if the Celtics aren't going to win a championship this year, and you come to me and you tell me right now there's a prophet outside, and he says it's not going to be the Celtics, pick another team, and I don't have to watch the Celtics lose in the finals, I would actually pick the Suns. I'd love to see Chris Paul finally win one. I would love to see a lot of people that decided again to talk shit about Kevin Durant, like he's not Kevin Durant, like. I'm not trying to be a front runner with this, guys. Like we talk about this shit all the time, but it's like you go on you go on fucking Facebook, right? Which no one should ever do, obviously. But you go on Facebook and you see boomers talking about how KD actually isn't really a winner because he had to go to da-da-da. And it's like, bro, please. Like he's literally the greatest fucking scoring forward that's ever played the game of basketball. Like, please shut up. Like I cannot listen to this shit. And I honestly just want him to win one in Phoenix so that it's just like another notch in the you're a fucking idiot column when someone tries to talk shit about Kevin Durant. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. And honestly, he's a pretty laid back guy. Like he's associated with people that are fucking fuckwits, and I get it, and it's very annoying. And I know that he's done annoying shit on like burner accounts, and I know he said stupid shit in the past, and I know James Harden in Brooklyn was his fault. But he's not like a monster. Like he seems like a regular dude that just wants to play basketball. Like I really believe that about him. And I would love to see Chris Paul win one. I'm still obviously would be very concerned about his durability. And if we played them in the finals, I would be pretty sure that Chris Paul wouldn't be there to give us those problems, to be honest with you. I think that would end up deciding the series. So, Bobby, are you scared of the Suns?
So what is the downfall of both the teams that I think the Celtics would be able to take advantage of, which we couldn't last year playing the Warriors, is our depth versus their depth and our bench versus their bench, because the reason why
getting killed by their bench was particularly annoying, though.
Yeah, but the reason why Nikola Jokic is the foregone MVP at this point for the third straight year is because of how much of a worse team they are when he is off the court. It is night and day how
but they have the same
how
wins as us pretty much.
Agreed, but the point different, bro. It's like I think they're like a plus 30 with him on the court on a nightly basis and a minus 25. Like it is astronomical. Plus, with the Suns, we don't know what that team is going to look like once they're all together. Once Durant's there, we don't know what the depth is going to look like because they just completely emptied their bench in that deal. You know what I mean? Who do they have coming off the bench now at this point? They don't have Crowder anymore. They don't have Thomas.
Still got Damian Lee.
They didn't really have Crowder before, in fairness. Like it's not
right. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But
it's not Ish Smith. It's Wainwright, because when they was there a few weeks ago, this month, here in Boston, like Ish Wainwright was giving the Celtics problems. So he's not much of a known commodity, but he was someone that was giving us problems of the second unit. So you got those two guys. There's another
Okogie's good. The small forward's good. Okogie.
Yeah. That's so he should if he's locked.
He dropped
in,
like 30 the other night.
He should be an upgrade of what Jae Crowder is right now. Like so, there's still pieces there. And once again,
I would like to see Jae Crowder back on the team. Would have been nice.
Yeah, sure.
If he was available.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, he was, but I guess maybe they'd already talked about him. I guess he wanted to.
It seemed like he was a bigger trade piece than we even thought that last time we talked, though. Because if he was going to be like the linchpin to a trade, well, no, I mean, I know they traded a lot more.
5 second rounders. That's a lot.
I know. I know they traded a lot, but I feel like the best player they traded was Jae Crowder, right? Like, am I forgetting somebody?
No, man, Mikal Bridges is better than him.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
so, but I mean, fuck, that actually is kind of a haul for. I mean, it's still Kevin Durant, though. Like, yeah, you got to give up a fucking haul for Kevin Durant. But am I just doing it? By looks on your faces, it seems like I rate Jae Crowder higher than I should. I feel like
it depends what Crowder. It depends what Crowder.
He'll be beneficial for them because obviously,
you
got Connaughton.
The perfect place for him too, right? Like he just like needs to exist in a place like that.
Yeah, so
he's another body that can play defense, especially if Middleton's not up to 100%. He takes a lot of the Middleton minutes and at least fills that hole a little bit, you know.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Grayson Allen should not be a starter.
Grayson Allen sucks. He's
not trash, but he's not a starter. Like we just talked about the first half of the show about the people knowing their roles and being in their role. Like Grayson Allen will be a phenomenal 6th man, in my opinion. Like if he was our 6 million,
Sure. I think what he brings to the table intangibles wise, I think in a playoff scenario, I think does help you. But I also think that if we're talking about it from a Celtics perspective, like what he was able to do to us in the playoffs last year, I think is completely out the window now. Like I think with the kind of guards that we have and the guards that are playing at the level that we're having, like if you try to put him on any kind of a switch with Derrick White and Malcolm Brogdon, like Grayson Allen's getting murdered. Like he's getting absolutely fucking embarrassed out there. Like he can't do, I don't, in my opinion, this is a hypothetical, but he can't do any of that kind of sneaky
delineation.
Like, all that kind of shit that he does successfully, I think gets taken out by the fact that the guards we now put on him are faster. They think faster. They're better shooters. He's going to get exposed. I really do think so. So I agree with you 100%. He should not be starting for them in a playoff scenario. Guys like Jae Crowder, I guess I love about because. Say that again.
I love Connaughton. I
like him too.
He's in the Terrence Ross category for me. Like I like his game. I just wish he was here, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I guess. It feels like you guys wrote Crowder off after that fucking playoff performance. I know it was like an all-time bad one.
It was really bad.
I know it was all-time bad. I really do agree that it was all-time bad. And I also think his last playoff performance,
32% from the field or something like that.
Yeah, and also, I mean, like, in a Celtics uniform,
there's some good moments for us. Yeah,
there's a Jae Crowder story there too in the postseason, but it's when you're not relying on him was my kind of perspective on bringing him in. I didn't think we were gonna think Jae Crowder was gonna be the fourth guy. I thought he was gonna be like a great seventh guy. Like I think he'd be like an unbelievable seventh guy. But I actually think we got exactly that in Moose. To be honest with you, exactly what I wanted. I think I might have been picturing Jae Crowder circa like 2016 is the problem, and I think that what we actually needed was a guy with less baggage. With more upside.
He's a better shooter.
And essentially a better shooter, it turns out, which I did not see that coming. And shots in really important times too. And I just love that. I'll take back what I said about Sam Hauser, by the way. I will take it back. I'll officially take back what I said, because I said come fucking February, we're not gonna be talking about Sam Hauser anymore. And he did dip, but he's back. I do think he's good.
That shot was so unreal.
It was a big shot. Although he'll do this weird thing where I could actually see him like a situation where it's like, okay, Sam Hauser did pretty good in game 1, got absolutely fucking embarrassed in game 2, didn't see him for game 3 and 4, kind of a situation. Like there was a moment when we were playing the Bucks where he like kind of guarded Giannis. I don't know if you guys remember this. He kind of guarded Giannis for a second.
One play where he did it.
And Giannis then looked like he got mad and then just went by him like 4 times. And I was like, okay, get Sam Hauser the fuck out of here, please.
It was fun because I celebrated the first one. I was like, sir, let's go. Yeah. And then
I was like, no, don't do that.
Oh my
and
God.
then I think Giannis was like, okay, hold on 1 second. And that's still Sam Hauser. But I think, again, it's a good body to have. And I think that the way that they were looking at putting together these bodies does match up well against, teams that we come up against in the East, and the way that our team is constituted. I agree with you that Grayson Allen's a decent 6-man, but I'm glad that we don't have a Grayson Allen on the Celtics, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like I do just think we're deeper because of that, because of the guys that we have. And I think if you're trying to find a place for Grayson Allen, I think that's a little bit different than having a place built in for a Derrick White or a Malcolm Brogdon or something along those lines.
Can I throw a team out there that I'm actually kind of scared of?
Yeah, please.
If it gets to the finals, and that's the Clippers. I
was asking Ray if you're scared of the Clippers. Didn't seem scared at all.
I am, just because of what caused their downfall last year, and that was the legs of Tatum and Brown. And if we get to an NBA Finals where we have to play the veteran versions of Tatum and Brown and Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, I think that would be a tough matchup for us. We already saw it in the regular season where they came at us with everything they had, and Celtics didn't have an answer. So I do think that scares me a little bit. The other one is people are down on them right now. That's the Grizzlies. I just think Dylan Brooks and what's the other guy's name? Who's the other wing over there?
Wait, sorry,
Dylan Brooks. The Grizzlies. Dylan Brooks and fuck is his name?
I mean, John Morant's the only person that matters.
Well, that's true. But I feel like that they could match up well against Tatum and Brown, kind of like Kuminga and Peyton did last year when it came to the Warriors. So I get worried about those two.
You mean Bane? Were you talking about Bane?
Bane, yes, Bane. Thank you. So Dylan Brooks and Desmond Bane. I feel like they can match up well with them. That's what worries me is putting Tatum and Brown against people where they have to put full effort both ways on legs that have been playing 40 minutes a game through 3 7-game series, just like we did last year.
Yeah, I have a worry about that.
That's
too,
what worries about
think,
those two.
I think what we do to teams, the way we're able to set up two-way wings against every team in the NBA is like why we're able to just run them off the fucking boards every single time.
And we can't do that against them.
I think that we could still do that against them, though. Is the thing, because I think that like at the end of the day, if Kawhi and Paul George cancel out Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, the rest of our team is so much fucking better than that Clippers team.
True.
Like so much better than that Clippers team. And I think that our two guys also know how to involve their team better than those two guys, because those two guys have played a collective 17 fucking minutes for the goddamn Clippers together. So I just like, I can't think that they have better team chemistry than us.
My only question about that, right? So, like I said, we know what Kawhi's done, but that goes without question. Since the 2014 conference finals, give me a signature Paul George moment.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm taking
Damian
Lillard hitting a 3 in his face. Is that?
Well,
I think that's number one, right? That's.
That was a bad shot.
I think he played decent. I think
your ass got cooked.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he played decent after Kawhi went out.
He did. That's
last year's playoffs. I do think that, but I also think he's always been a little bit of a garbage time player, to be honest with you. So
if they got Indiana Paul George against us, then yeah, I'm like, I'll be on here crying about how we couldn't fucking get it done.
I'm taking Jaylen Brown over him every time, though. At this point,
well yeah, now, but now is now. He played his best basketball of his career next to Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's cause to pause for that, but I mean, other than that, once again,
forgot he just got there.
Does Kawhi want to dominate? Because if he wants to dominate, then they're going to be Phoenix. They're going to be everybody else too. If we're being honest, I just don't see a path where they care enough to get there.
I agree.
That's the problem.
I don't think
they're Brooklyn for these final 25 games.
Yeah.
You could book it right now that the LA Clippers will go to the finals.
Sure.
Book it right
on
now.
Paper. On paper. But
sure.
I mean, you're talking about Paul George.
Guys, yeah, so
you're talking about Paul George playing the best basketball of his career against an MVP level Russell Westbrook, like essentially still at that level, or thereabouts, which he is not anymore. Also, Russell Westbrook, as of right now, if you're a team that really thinks that they're going to win this year, you don't sign him, in my opinion. I understand that he still has some stuff to his game, and it's like it was a little unfair some of the shit he was getting for like putting up bricks for a while there, in a weird system, and he's lost a step of his athleticism, but he's still a decent basketball player. There's a lot of baggage there. It's really hard to figure out his minutes and how he's going to be effective with your other stars on the floor. I don't really understand, even at all of their best right now, I don't really understand what it looks like to have Russell Westbrook, Kawhi Leonard, and Paul George all on the floor at the same time. Like, I get it in theory. I really do. But, like, I don't know. Like, in crunch time, like, Kawhi's just going to be like, give me the fucking... It's going to be just like him and LeBron on the floor at the same time. It's not going to work. It's like, he's just going to be like, give me the ball. I really thought that Russell Westbrook was going to, like, ruin LeBron's scoring record game. I really did. He was just... I think he had, like, 30 shots
such a bitch.
It was
so funny.
I loved it. He was, like, arguing with the fucking... That was such a weird game to, like, break the fucking scoring record because they're in such a strange and dysfunctional place as a franchise, and I gotta say, like, Russell Westbrook was a big part of that, but like so is LeBron James. We don't have to get into that again. But yeah. I do think that Russell Westbrook might get there, might care for a second, like you're saying, and then be like, nah, it's not working.
Well,
especially when he recognizes the fact that the other two guys don't give a shit.
No, sure, but the one thing I'll say about Russell Westbrook, like regardless of how erratic the play is and the don't give a fuck attitude sometimes, he never cheats the game.
No.
I'm not worried about him showing up. He's actually healthy for the most part. He'll be there. He'll play hard.
That's the problem sometimes, though, unfortunately.
Well, which is
the quality of those minutes,
right? It's wild to say that he plays too hard, which we used to get on Marcus Smart about that too, to an extent. But yeah, I just think, who knows, maybe this is something that reunites them and they start to go on a run.
Maybe.
Again, there are other pieces there that can do certain things.
They got Bones now.
I got Bones now. I know. I forgot. I want to say they got somebody else. So like Norman Powell's a very good piece off the bench. Covington. So they had pieces there. So once again, if they choose to say, "Hey, we're gonna go off the final 24 games, we're gonna go like 18-6." Look out.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I honestly, at their best, I'm very scared.
So, like I said, we'll see.
Well, on that note, I think we can leave it there. I do think that there's still a couple hypotheticals left out there coming from the West, but I think we've gotten to the bottom of the idea that we all think that the East is pretty much ours. We're gonna have to overcome the Milwaukee Bucks, but I like that. I don't want to walk through a whole conference. I don't like.
I do.
No, I mean, no, but I mean, think about it. Like, remember the 08 league, the 08 season, the last time we won, we were challenged every single step of the way, and like that medal and that grit is what won us, I think, that championship. And I think that someone has to fucking challenge us, because I want to know what team I'm looking at going to this finals. Yeah. I know I'm putting them in the finals already, but I kind of am. So, yeah.
Listen,
I mean,
you already said it. You're
what a difference! What a difference a year makes, huh? What a difference a year makes.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it at the start of the show, guys. It's like their attitude, the veteran attitudes of the guys that are still young, but like where they've been, the things they're saying, the way that they're putting this team together. They're fun to watch. They're an offensive juggernaut. They can play defense if and when they want to. They match up really well against every team in the NBA, especially at the wing position. Like who's coming nearest to the wings. Yeah, I'm really not scared to be putting them in the finals already, but there are a few unknowns and intangibles coming out of the West, so I'm going to be watching it pretty closely. But, if you want to listen to more NBA coverage, Celtics coverage, please do tune in to Missing the Point, because we are ramping that up in the post-All-Star era. We are going to be talking Celtics week in, week out, I think, for the next few weeks. We'll sprinkle some Bruins stuff in there. And, if Ray and Joe and Mike get sad, they might even talk about the Red Sox. So, for myself, for Real BK Bob Kelly, for the Hollywood Rayshawn Buchanan, thank you so much for listening to Missing the Point.